Hello, Miss. Good morning. I hope you're okay. This is me, Sebastian Rodriguez Ricardo, and today I want to share with you my workshop about the journal that we have to do. I want to share with you some things about my teaching path. First of all, I'm gonna show you, Miss. I'm gonna be showing you, yeah, my poster, my photography workshop. But I would also like to share the things that I have been doing in the classroom, right? Because yeah, we got to do different lesson plans, and we're going to be also discussing the different lesson plan and approaches that we were developing. But more than telling you that if I like it, if I've enjoyed it, if I felt comfortable or something like that, I would like to show you my progress, my work in the classroom, because I think that for me as an English teacher, as a service English teacher, yeah, that I'm training in this, I I have one thing in my head, and it was like I'm not going to do just the things that I have to do. I'm going to do something else. I'm gonna be beyond that simple line that we have to be, and I'm gonna be abroad. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it. So first of all, I noticed that you would like to show you would like us to show you what was our pedagogical perspective on what was the main goal that we have in our head, and for me is the meaningful communication, right? Make students communicate in English as much as possible. Yeah, I will also had in mind that I that I have to bring some activities that engage my students' attention, because I'm currently working with the students of 11th grade. We can almost say that they have learned all the things that they needed till till this moment, and it's kind of difficult because when we are working with young students, they are all proposed to do whatever activity we bring to the classroom. But with the limited students, it's something like, "Hey guys, we're gonna do something else," and the answer is always gonna be, "We don't like, we don't want." I don't want to, teacher, and even I'm working and I'm doing my practices in the afternoon from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So it's difficult to manage this engaging, this motivation, because they are tired, they are coming from lunch there. So I have one thing in mind is that I'm going to make them communicate in English, and I'm gonna bring a structure and engaging activities for them. Yeah. The lesson plans, of course, were pointing to that points that I was mentioning you. Yeah. Just from move them from the language, from the understanding to the language in use, in real context, of course. I was also working with the normal school in their curricula. They proposed they're working with, because they have like an alliance with NetGeo, in a year, and develop various books for the students for working according to the different levels. Why they use NetGeo? Because NetGeo also propose learning English just as the structure or grammar, but in context. I mean, the pedagogical framework of the normal school is something related with constructivism and a humanism teaching, but focusing on the environmental awareness. So, Nat Geo is, in my perspective, because I don't know more books, is one of the most perfect, capable books that points to this aim that has the normal school, and is the environmental awareness. So, this is the perfect option for us to be working with them. This is a photo miss of me working using the Nat Geo platform, because the activities we have the students book, we have the workbook, and we manage. We manage because in the students' books that they don't have the students, they have the workbook. In the students' books, we have readings, we have listening exercises, we have some explanation about different topics, but in a very brief way. So when planning, I had in mind different aspects. First of all, knowledge, experience, and the decisions. From knowledge, using the communicative approach, and the other approach you propose us to develop our lesson plans, I take in mind the scaffolding, the different stages they need to pass, and the meaningful learning. For experience, I like and I aim to, and that my students have better proposals, better responses, and also create the structures and interactive lessons. And the decisions that I took, it was clear, make clear stages, dynamic activities and guide participation. And this is an activity that I was developing, but later I'm gonna show you how can we replace this, because there's not a like a secret that in our currently society our students are also trying to use it their cell phones. So as you mentioned, teacher, I at the beginning of the class, at the beginning of my practices, I set up the rules, and I tell them like, hey, you know what, you're not going to be using your cell phones in my classes. But it's kind of difficult because we cannot take them off, and we need to trust like in students self-awareness, and to generate that conscious of that they cannot be using the cell phones in classroom. But I say one day, I say, you know what, let's gonna use them. If they're using cell phones for chatting or for taking photos or for something else, it's gonna use it because most of them have internet, have access to different platforms. And as you can see, teacher, they're so focused, they're concentrated, they are using their cell phones for answering the questions. And I'm gonna show you that these kind of activities are not like something like an open activity. No, it has in its intention. And I'm always focusing on the feedback that I can bring to my students, because in all the activities I try to that the platforms that I'm using have like a way that I can collect my students' responses, and then show them like, hey, look, these were your mistaken your mistakes, and this were your rights. So take that into account. Let's see the points that you felt like, hey teacher, you know what, it was kind of difficult, or it was like a tricky question. And we discuss at the end of the class. We're always discussing the question and the points that they feel like, I didn't understand at all. So when teaching, the lesson was proposed, yeah, through a communicative approach, more of them. And I was also like to promote the interaction and the meaningful use of the language. At the same time, I'm a believer that, well, I know that this is kind of wrong, because we have a different approaches, but the behavior of my students is so important for me. So I'm a teacher that likes to use the behaviorist approach. Yeah. But why? Because I feel that if I am a teacher and I'm in front of my students and I'm trying to explain this them something, but at the end of the classroom and in a corner of the classroom they're talking, they're paying attention to all the things and not paying attention to me, I feel like that lesson and that class wasn't meaningful for them. Or as a teacher, I didn't do anything in that class, because that student is gonna be left of the classroom, and when they left, they're gonna say like, hey, and for instance, like I can ask them, and I'm gonna say like, hey, how was the class for you? And they're gonna say like, teacher, I wasn't paying attention, and that's not my purpose. Yeah. I also applied a lot of positive informants, yeah, the participation, the feedback, and I also encourage my students. I cannot say that I'm confident with them, because that's not my point. I'm not the student's friend. I'm the teacher, but I also can recognize that it's difficult for them to participate, even if they are tired and they are not arriving from lunch. Yeah. And as I was mentioned before, some challenges emerge with my students, and that's the point of before, the attention, the participation, especially during these transitions, where which they require constant monitoring and redirection. Also, the combination of these both approaches, allowing the balanced structures and control the student-centered interaction. Also, there I apply some adjustments when needed in real time, right? Some engagement tips: I use clear modeling before giving instructions, because I think that modeling is one of the most important parts for us as a teacher, because there are some instructions that if we just tell them, they're not gonna understand what we are talking about. Yeah. I also incorporate the naming and game like activities. I monitor the students constantly during tasks, and I encourage participation like in a supportive way. When thinking back, the main feedback that I could collect is that I'm doing something good, because all the time at the end of the classes, I cannot say that my head teacher that is in the classroom, I cannot say that he doesn't apply some strategies on some digital platforms, but I think that I have the strength in that part, in that specific aspect, because all of these classroom apart of all of these classes, sorry, apart from the work that we have been developing in the workbook, I also bring different platforms for them. They don't even know about clickers, they don't even know about playground, they don't even know about that the normal school has its own platform. They don't even know that we can assign as a teachers some tasks, some homeworks in that platform, and they can love them, love that those workshops in this platform. And this time we did it. It was a very meaningful activity. It was beautiful because I'm gonna show you, miss. I'm gonna show you. Don't worry. Well, when teaching again, and look, teacher, this is a part what I was mentioning. This is the activity. This is like the report of the activity that they were doing here. The Mr. P, the students that participate in that activity, and the runs, and well, in this case, that spaces that are spotted is the number of repetition of that question. For instance, here there were Daniel and Sari. They repeated the point 93 times. Because in that activity, I propose that if they don't understand, they repeat and repeat and repeat the question until they finally reach the right answer. So these reflections means highlight the needed to balance the structure and flexibility in my teaching. I would like to improve. Well, I can recognize that I have to improve some things like clarity and model task, and use more engaging strategies to increase the participation. This is my main goal in these practices, because I know that I'm doing well, but I want to do it more. Yeah, I will also strengthen the classroom management through reinforcement while promoting the students' confidence, because they are so shy. These 11th grade students are so shy. My goodness, is something so difficult for manage, but we like to do it. We are trying to do it. And for me, this experience shows me that teaching not only requires the ability, not only the knowledge, it's the capability of each one to manage the students' behaviors, the students' emotions, and classroom tools, and also a knowledge about the approaches. Or not only know about the approaches, but know about the topic you're teaching to. And it was a beautiful um, activity for me, because I felt feel up, yeah, with this students emotion, where they're like, hey teacher, what are we going to do today? Do you have are you bringing an activity for us today, something different maybe? And I was like, hey, I did it. It means I would like to show you, like, in a very brief way, what I was talking to you about. This is the first activity that it was right round. In these two sections that I applied them with them, the thing that I love the most, teacher, is that we can do that kind of monitoring of each students that were participating in the activity. And here we have like the resume that they gave us, yeah, the question that we have, the names of the student. Well, this is like the general. Here we have a student by a student, how many questions did they answer, how was the punctuation, the corrects, the runs, the times that they spent doing that activities. Of course, he will have more detailed time that they spend in each question, yeah. So I like it. I love it. I love it, because with this we can recognize which student did it by in a good way, like in a personal and conscious way. And this is student that were also choosing, like, no, just this and no more. The details from the activity, the percentage of rights that they had, how many times they tried, the participants, and so also here we have Plickers, that I love Plickers, because I developed different activities, and Plickers was the last platform I used with them, because with Plickers we I it has something that you can download here. You can download QR codes for each student, for each student. So each student is going to have his personal QR code. This is amazing because when I was using Greyground, when I was using Kahoot, when I was using this platform, I noticed that the students there are some because there are some students in the classroom that they don't have access to a cell phone or cannot bring their cell phones to the class, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with these students? Easy. With this platform, I completely disappeared the need of cell phones in class because they were using the QR code and they were changing because this is like a kind of square and each part of the square has its own answer. So if the students want to choose letter A, should have the code in this way, letter B, they turn it, letter C, and so on. Also, Flickr gave me the opportunity of have the score sheets, the student score sheets. For instance, in this case for the 11th grade, a student by a student, yeah. For instance, and I can download a student's personal report. I can have the rights that they had, the runs, and so on. Also gave me like it also gave me like a general report of the students and how was their behavior during the activity in Integra. That is the digital platform for this for the school. Here we have here. I assigned them an activity here for them, and I also and I also told the teacher how to assess, how to evaluate. If you notice, there are so many teachers. Well, there are less than the 80% that use the platform. I don't know why, because this is a very meaningful tool because we have different things for assign here. And in this time I did it, I assigned a poster task that was proposed in the workbook. And here we have the students, the activities that the students were doing, the poster. But one of the main things that I told them is that they cannot be doing by using the AI, because of course it's an easiest way. It is something interesting. We need to manage it. We need to be capable to know how to create a perfect prompts or something like that. But I don't want that, because what I wanted with this is the students take their time by developing by themselves their posters by using Canva. How we did it in the last 20 years, the last 10 years by using Canva. It's a digital platform. It's a tool that most people not pay attention for it, but I would like to pay attention again because they have some different posters, some different activities for doing, and we can also in this platform we can also grade them. For instance, look at this one. I like it. I like this one. And I was looking in Canva for this template and I found it, and it was true. The student spent his time, her time, by developing the poster by following the different instructions. We also had the opportunity for grade them, and that is one grade for the 20% of the term that they have. So miss that with this, I like I said, I'm finishing my reflecting on my teaching path. And I don't know, miss, I would like you to enjoy it. And thank you so much for your attention, for your time. And see you in the next time, miss. Bye bye. And thank you so much.